we got a Geega video. The right words will keep them at bay. So this is going to be talking about parasocialism and how to mitigate its effects within the content creator sphere. Now, there's no outright way to just stop parasocialism, as it is a thing that is between the viewer and the streamer, and it also goes both ways. So it's not just streamer to viewer, it's also viewer to streamer. But viewer to streamer is the more common one. But yeah, when it comes to being parasocial, like the only thing to really do is just set the boundaries, right? We're free to talk about this. We're not free to talk about this. And then just make sure you guys don't cross that line or cross that boundary. And it would help mitigate it. Again, you're not going to stop everybody, but you'll stop most of them. Well, go ahead and have this conversation. The right words will keep them at bay.
Is there a nice way to keep the stream parasocial stuff at bay? Nice way? Yes and no. With
Nice ways.
Nice ways. So,
Nice.
your personality and the way you speak and what you speak about naturally will create more or less parasociality. For example, the way I speak and the way I handle my chat and all that stuff, I'm not super warm. I don't say love you guys. I don't say that. I don't say that to anyone unless they're like a family member or like a friend that I've spent time with, like really spent time with. A one-to-one, person-to-person friend. I don't just say that to a chat. Some people do, and they don't mean I know you personally, right? They don't say that and then mean it that way, but they still say the word. And for some people, hearing that, even though they're not taking it that way, it builds a feeling or it builds an environment that feels very like loving and warm, whatever. And I think that lends itself to parasociality. Absolutely. I don't, though, because again, I don't say that to people as a whole. I don't say that as a generalization, whatever. And I don't think it's even a bad thing if someone does. It's just like, that's where my boundary is. That's where my boundary is, right? So I think me not being the type of person, and I'm using that as a specific example, but not being that kind of person in the way I communicate with people and just having those kinds of boundaries naturally, not even talking about them, just clearly not like doing those things, I think keeps people at bay from feeling that way. Not 100%, obviously. Like some shit will always... People will feel the way they feel, and you can't control that, right?
Absolutely.
But I think because I naturally act like that, I have fewer people that are like that, for sure. But at the same time, I talk about appreciation, absolutely, because that's there, you know, all that kind of stuff. So those are like the nice ways you can do it. You can also just straight up be mean about some things. When someone says something that is beyond that boundary and they mean it really well, like someone comes into chat and they're like, love you so much, see you later, you know, have fun streaming, blah, 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 blah. And they use a lot of like really affectionate words. There are times where I will react negatively to it, depending on what they say. Sometimes it's just a thing that they typed and I know they mean it in a more shallow surface level kind of way. They're not meaning it in a deep way, you know, and I won't say anything. I'm just like, they're just using the word, right? There are other times the way they construct the sentence, I'm like, that feels like they're trying to mean it a bit more. And I put my foot down and reject it.
And that's absolutely what you have to do. That is exactly what you should do as a streamer or a content creator, whatever, right? Because it's not necessarily a bad thing that the chatter, you know, said these things. But if there was already a specific boundary, like, hey, you know, we're having a nice, calm environment, and yeah, it might be considered loving, but do not try and express love towards me, you know, or express your love to me, right? I think that's a better one. Like expressing love towards somebody, like that could be a range of many things, like gift giving, like gifting subs in the chat and stuff like that. Like that is showing love to the streamer and to the stream in general, right? Because you're sharing it and you're giving back to the community. But to express love to the streamer specifically, yeah, you definitely could be crossing some boundaries. And it's one of these things where it's not written in stone. This is not something on the external. This is something completely on the internal. So say I look at the camera and I say, I love you. How do you feel about that? Because if you immediately had something internal move around, whether it was positive or negative, right? The power of the word I love you when it comes to just being a human is very powerful, because the love in itself is very powerful. And love isn't even always a good thing. Love is just something we say is a good thing, but it can be taken many different ways, because people can love you so much that they end up ending your life because they love you, right? You could say it's a twisted version of love, but love is love, man. Love makes people do crazy things. How many times have we heard that? It's absolutely true. So whenever somebody in the chat is saying, I love you or whatever, if the streamer feels, and if you are a streamer, if you feel a type of way about it, and if it does make you uncomfortable, absolutely say something about it. Because on the chat's end, on the person that's sending it out, they might totally mean 100% good intention. Absolutely. They might be saying this just because they say it to everybody. There are naturally more affectionate people just in the world. But if you feel some type of way as a streamer that's like, hey, I don't like this, or this makes me uncomfortable, or this is a boundary I am not willing to, negotiate about, let it be known, because people aren't mind readers and people cannot feel what you feel as a streamer or as a viewer. So you got to make it point blank, period, clear out to the external world. Whenever you send that message, I get you have good intentions behind it, but it makes me feel uncomfortable. So now not only does that person know, but the entire chat knows and the community knows. And if anything, when the chat community understands, hey, that is the boundary we do not pass, it makes it even easier for like when a new person comes into the chat and then like they start getting these emotions and stuff like that. And it's like, hey, this is what we do here. It's okay for you to be yourself, but just know this is a boundary that, the streamer is not cool with. And then if they don't like it, well, then that's a personal thing and they should just leave the community. But if you've already built a community based off these boundaries, man, you're doing a really good thing. So yeah, every streamer and content creator, absolutely set these boundaries because they are important. And if you just let one person go past that boundary, don't be surprised when 20 more follow suit.
And I know
Oh,
it's mean
okay.
because I know that person's feelings are immediately, I'm putting a stop. They're just trying to be like, they're
You
like,
are.
I love you so much, right? And they're like trying to slow that down. Like, no, you
Why you
don't
sound like
care.
that?
I don't care because I think it's meaner for me to let them say that to me. And I don't like it.
You're
And
being
I
mean
don't
to
feel the
yourself.
same. And I just like am disingenuous, right? I don't know.
You're disingenuous on one half, and on the other half, man, you're just not sticking to your boundaries.
I prefer to be honest about it. So while it does feel like maybe I'm being a little directly mean to that person, shutting them down, I'd rather shut them down than let them continue saying that stuff to me, let them think I'm taking it positively, and then maybe something happens later where I set the word down and they're like, I thought this whole time something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
they
I
thought.
don't like doing that to people. So while it may feel like I'm being a little mean in the moment, I really don't feel like I'm being mean because I feel like the
That's
other
okay.
option is meaner. Even if they never find out. If I pretended to react positively to it, but I really didn't like it, I couldn't do that. I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that. I have to be honest with people, right?
And that's okay.
I can't do it.
That's good.
The dishonesty, so I can't do it. And then there are some streamers who do feel that way because they use that word differently, or they mean it. Maybe they mean it more loosely, or maybe they actually do feel this way, or whatever. Like there are some streamers that do that. So I'm not saying that every streamer that does do that is being disingenuous, but for me,
Absolutely.
because again, that word is very like locked down to like that's family or close friends or people I like really, really, really enjoy like that on a personal level. Then it would be really disingenuous for me to just like say it to chatters that I have not sat down and talked to and know one-on-one like that, so I won't. You know what I mean? And then if they say it to me, I'll be like, let's cut it to, hey, appreciate you a lot.
Yeah,
because
appreciate
that's
you.
true, right? There are other words you can use that are very true, that are also strong, right? So
Absolutely.
I don't know. So I think there are ways to do it, and it's all in how you phrase it. Like you can be really mean about it, but I only do that if I've tried to set the boundary and they don't get it. I've tried multiple times.
Then you got to be forceful.
Then I'm like,
I got to be forceful. You have to.
If I'm
they
not
don't
meaner,
understand.
They're just like, it's not enough for them to change.
Exactly. They don't understand.
So sometimes you just gotta be like that.
Legitimately. Yeah, absolutely true. So yeah, this was a quick psychology course on setting boundaries, man. And I hope you guys learned something from it as the viewer and as the potential streamers or content creators that you aspire to be or you are already being. Definitely, you need to have these conversations with your community. Let them know what you are okay and what you're not okay with, and let them be aware and be conscious of the fact that you may change as you develop your stream or as you grow older in making content. Not everything is going to be set down. It's just like, hey, these are the ground rules, and these might be the ground rules from now. We'll see in the future because your ground rules might be pretty lenient right now, right? Maybe you say, oh, yeah, I love you guys. I miss you guys, all this good stuff. And then later on in life, you end up finding a partner and then you start using those words specifically for them. And then when it comes to your community, you might have to say, hey, you know what? I know we had this much of a boundary space, but, we got to shrink it a little bit. I still appreciate you guys. I still care about you guys. But when it comes to love and stuff like that, again, it's okay to move your boundaries. It might not be okay for other people for you to move your boundaries, but you yourself, you are the only person that you have to cater to. You don't have to cater to everybody else. Though everybody else is in an external. You need to care about yourself here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope we all learned something today about setting boundaries. It's your boy KhunShawn, signing out. Comment, rate, subscribe.